Hello everyone, here psst.one. Today another project that won the Genius Loci Festival in Weimar. I talk about Multiscalar. It's a multidisciplinary studio based in Berlin with a focus on the video mapping, founded by two artists from Venezuela, Reinaldo Verde and Ernesto Rodriguez, with a background from architecture and illustration. But they will talk about it, so enjoy! And let's start. How did you start with visuals?
Actually, we are both have a background in architecture. We studied architecture in Venezuela, and we worked there for a few years in the field. And actually, in my case, I saw a few videos from the Festival of Lights in Lyon. And so that's my first contact with the video mapping. And I thought it was actually really cool because even though I was working in architecture, I was also focused on the 3D and using digital tools to design. So it was a really cool way to integrate the architecture background with this new thing. And after a few years, as we got disillusioned with architecture and the way it works, I found this master program here in Weimar called Media Architecture. So yeah, I applied for that, and it turned out to be a perfect way of relating from architecture to this. And ever since, we've been doing this kind of the digital stuff.
So in my personal case, I remember that while I was studying, I wanted to study something here in Germany related to design because of my architectural background as well. At the end, what I could find at that time was something more related to visual communications. But there was a possible internship with a company. They needed somebody to do compositing, video compositing, and I remember it was my first try with software called Nuke and other stuff related to After Effects. And it was something that it caught me. It was something that I really wanted to do. Just was video related. I've been working on that for a while now, and also because of the university, I started illustrating again. Doing the commercial illustration ever since, and just concept art. And I've been working around maybe on and off around 10 years with Reinaldo. And after his master's thesis, I was fairly impressed. It was awesome. And I wanted to do a project like that with him, and then we started to work in video mapping and certain contents. We started to win and out of the blue, and since then we've been working in video mapping. We combine now the different approaches we both have.
How long you are in the field of video mapping?
Around 3 years maybe.
Yeah, my first actual project was my master thesis. That was actually a project that was inspired by Genius Loci. There was a representative from a city called Meiningen in the south of Thüringen that came to the Genius Loci and was so impressed that she wanted to do it in her city. The thing is that they didn't have the budget, so they approached the university. And we first did a seminar about video mapping, and then that turned out to be a master thesis. So we did it 5 people animating, and together with some people from computer science and media. And it turned out to be a great, a huge projection mapping that became interactive after a point. And we designed some machines that you could use to influence the projection real time. That was developed by people from computer science. So yeah, that was my first one, and that was 4 years ago. And ever since, we have done on and off projects through competitions mostly. And yeah, the Genius Loci was one that we always took part in, and we were hoping to get. And this year it happened, finally.
So you both run a Multiscalar agency in Berlin. Why did you start an agency?
Well, so we started actually in our homeland with Multiscalar, but we're strictly architecture related. At that point in time, I think that we weren't even dreaming of working in video mapping. For me, at least, it was completely unknown while I was still in my homeland. And then when we came here, Reinaldo was studying here in Weimar, I was studying in Berlin, our master's degree. And of course, we kept in contact, we would see each other, but we weren't actively working together. We were both students. And then when we got the chance to work again and do proposals, for instance, one of the first ones was the Festival of Lights in Berlin. And we started to work as Multiscalar again. And now we're based in Berlin and keep working.
Actually, more than an agency, Multiscalar would be like the name of our collaboration, because we also have a work as a freelance independently. But when we work together, we work as Multiscalar. So it's kind of our brand, just to say this.
And do you find difficult to work in Berlin?
At first, I would say extremely difficult. Now it's just difficult.
Yeah, I guess at the beginning it's difficult always, and well, Berlin is a city where the market is quite full in most fields, mostly also creative fields. But as it takes time, you develop the contacts and you keep getting work. So it's been picking up since last year actually, and now we actually had like so much work these past few months.
Yeah, so I think it goes without saying. So you need to have good work out there, so be good at what you do, or at least do it passionately. And at some point, when people start to notice, and one opportunity to materialize it, then another comes in, and now we are on a row, and we want to keep riding this wave.
Yeah, and actually we noticed already a couple of years ago that there is not a really renowned video mapping studio in Berlin. There are a couple in Germany, like Urban Screen, but they are based somewhere else. So I guess in Berlin there is this kind of niche that we could actually get into.
You are here in Genius Loci because you won the prize. How was the feeling to win this prize?
You know, it was funny because it was surreal. I don't remember what we were doing at that time.
That was a day after my birthday, actually.
Exactly.
And then we were completely hungover and having breakfast, and we got the SMS from Hendrik like, "Hey, can you call me back?"
Yeah, it was completely unexpected at that point, and I remember that he was actually on the phone, and I was like, and he was like, yeah, and then we actually went the same day, actually to meet with Hendrik, because we were already in Berlin, of course, and while we were there, I think we wouldn't believe it until we really see it. And we started working on it, and we were very pleased with it. It was a very satisfying experience. We applied for previous Genius Luckies more than once, but actually I'm glad that we got actually this one.
Yeah, this year we took more time to do the proposal, and it was more developed. Also, there were less proposals for that building than the previous year, so we thought we had a good chance from the beginning.
And can you describe me your project?
The building that we got is Charlotte von Stein's house, and she was a very prominent figure in the middle of the literary scene in Weimar, and she was related to Goethe, Schiller, and many others. And it was interesting for us to tell the story from her point of view, more or less. So she is actually...
She was the one that brought Goethe into Weimar and presented him to the court of royalty. She was like the catalyst for Goethe coming here.
The thing that we wanted to achieve with the project is actually heavily relies on storytelling. Instead of doing just something flashy, we wanted to have the abstract elements that we're juxtaposing with figurative elements along the project to have a purpose and to tell a story. And the whole research that we did beforehand translated into the final product, because we wanted to tell her story as a muse of prominent figures, her as a human being overall, and how she was influential in the development of ideas and development of workflows for creative genius and of her own. And we divided, actually, because we knew that we were going to deal with theater, our project in acts, like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and they follow more or less those classical canon states. You have the introduction of the characters, you have some interaction and conflict, you have an interlude, then you have a resolution. And everything translates well, and we really wanted to play with contrast as well. It was about having these traditional elements with the new abstract ones, and this modern feel related to the tradition.
You have other projects?
Yeah, well, we actually do all kinds of things. We work as a freelance designer for a museum in Berlin. So we do also everything from social media content to exhibition design, that kind of thing. And also he works as commercial illustrations. I also have my things with VJing when the chance comes, although I don't do that like full time. I'm working now with a band. We are designing a stage design for them to take on tour. So yeah, there is always something. Like we are actually like to get into new things constantly. So every time the chance gets like, okay, if we do that project, we can learn this or that software or this new technique. We always do it.
Right now I want to get my hands a little bit more into frame-by-frame animation, because I did just a little bit for the Genius Loki. And I think that if I actually start to go into that direction and polish a little bit of that, so I could bring to the table when we do projects together something a bit more interesting as well. And I know that he was actually researching into new softwares, a way of doing things. We always looked at render engines or things we could actually speed the workflow and make it more cool. And yeah, so it's very nice that we have our own core set of projects that we like to do together, but we have also our own independent projects running in parallel, because that's the way actually we learn. We keep each other so we keep the freshness of the work. And then when we actually polish those abilities, we can bring them to the table for multiscalar projects.
I think that's a thing we have in common, that we get bored of things quite quickly. That was actually at least my project with architecture, that you work in the same project for 2 years. There is a point where I just hate it and I just don't care anymore. So that's also a cool thing here. You work intensively for something that then it happened and it's over. And then you go to the next. And you always have freedom to experiment things and to get into new aesthetics. In architecture, no way.